in the United States of America. Today is Tuesday, November 27, 2012, 7 p.m., sitting at the North Miami Council Chambers, 776 Northeast 125th Street on the second floor in North Miami, Florida. Currently, we are about to start the council meeting. And for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to call on Major Page to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you so much, Major Page. You may be seated. I'm going to call on Pastor Dr. NoMi for invocation this evening.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening to say thank you for our children. And thank you for what you have done for us. As we prepare to discuss the business of the city, we ask you, Lord, to bless every one of us, especially the city council members and the mayor of North Miami. We ask you, Lord, wisdom and unity. We pray, Lord, in the name of God. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Millien. Mr. Manager, any addition, deletion, amendments to our agenda for this evening?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I hope that you had a happy Thanksgiving. Tonight, we respectfully request to remove tab C from the consent agenda.
Wow, that's the shortest consent agenda ever that I have seen. So tab C has been removed. Any other matters to be amended to the agenda?
That would be it.
Hearing none, the agenda has been set. We have one special presentation before I move on into... Oh, Mr. City Clerk, would you do roll call for us, please?
Vice Mayor Sterian.
Here.
Councilman Galvin. Mayor Pierre.
Here.
Councilman Marcellus.
Here.
Councilman Blen.
Yeah.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. City Clerk. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum to conduct the business of the people this evening. Before we move forward, we have one special presentation, which is a proclamation. But before we move forward, I'm not sure if everyone has been able. I know if everyone have heard about the North Miami Museum winning the national award, but again, it was mentioned by the director of Miami-Dade County. Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs, Mr. Michael Spring, which he is by far a true leader in cultural affairs and cultural events that we have in Miami-Dade County. But just to read exactly what he said about the North Miami Museum winning this national award, and most of you are aware, 2 weeks ago we were invited at the White House at the ceremony, and there were 10 libraries in the United States of America that was recognized. And it's very interesting, why North Miami was selected, because it's due to the programs that we have with our youth and our children that we have in this community. So this is exactly what the director for Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs said about the museum. He said, museums in Miami. These are words that may not be uttered enough in the same breath nationally. All too often, each of these words is thought about its stereotype sense, temples and culture, fun and sun. Now there's national recognition of the new reality for museums in Miami that we're celebrating this month. North Miami Museum of Contemporary Art, better known as MOCA, officially was named as one of the top museums and libraries in the nation. Received the National Medal for Museum and Library Services. The award was given by the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is an independent federal agency that inspires the nation 123,000 libraries and 75,000 museums to advance innovation, lifelong learning, and cultural and civic engagement. the Institute looked at Miami, saw a museum that was redefining public engagement, bestowed the nation's highest award for service to the community on our very own MOCA. You can go to MOCA and experience superb exhibitions, programs, and concerts that clearly on par with any in the nation. But the Institute National Medal almost takes this for granted when it looks at candidates for this prestigious award. It's the innovative and inspiring work that MOCA is doing to reach thousands of children, teens, and adults that this award recognizes and celebrates. And I have to say, the young lady, young Haitian girl who grew up in the city of North Miami, right now she's over in Northern Florida getting her college degree, second year. I mean, she wrote the essay, what the museum did for her. And it wasn't just her, but there were so many others that actually got a break because of this museum. Then continue on to say, Miami is forging a new kind of cultural life, one that embraces diversity and breaks the rules regularly by forging a new way of building relationships among artists, audiences, and our museums and theaters. The Museum of Contemporary Art is at the forefront of this movement. The National Medal put the spotlight on the museum's programs to keep kids in school, work with female detainees in juvenile detention centers, and engage people in neighborhood to experience the wonder and fun of the arts. Bunny Clearwater, is she here? Oh, she's not here. Bunny Clearwater, the museum's executive director and chief curator, her talented staff, and the museum dedicated board of directors have demonstrated leadership, passion, and tireless commitment of making our community a better place. They have earned the nation's highest honor for libraries and museums through programs that begin with the idea that the arts can change people's lives and build stronger communities. Miami-Dade County, through the Department of Cultural Affairs, is proud to be a supporter of the museum. We ask you that you join all of us in applauding this outstanding community institution for receiving this honor and for its superb service to our community. Better yet, go to our community's great museums and libraries. Perhaps you will consider starting, of course, with North Miami, one of our nation's best. Thank you, Michael Spring. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, along with the MOCA board for doing this excellent job that they do in the city of North Miami. I don't know if we have the pictures from the White House. Do we have the pictures that we took at the White House during that ceremony? I guess IT doesn't have it. You should see those pictures. And, the president was unable to make the ceremony, but he sent Cecilia Munez, who's the Cultural Affairs Director, from his cabinet to deliver the keynote address to all the museums and the people that were there. And it was very interesting because so many congressmen and congresswomen were part of that ceremony. Of course, Frederica Wilson was not able to make it, but she sent a representative from her office to be there during the ceremony. So again, Mr. Manager, thank you so much for supporting our museum. And this council, of course, for giving the museum a thumbs up for what they do in the city of North Miami. So we're going to move on, and we have a special presentation. I'm going to ask the city council and also the city clerk to please step down for a minute so we could do this presentation. I'm going to ask Aram to come forward. Mr. Trophy, let's give him a round of applause for being in this community for over 50 years. Thank you. There you go. And I see my state representative is here with us. State Representative Ms. Campbell, come forward. Let's give her an applause for the work that she's doing in Tallahassee on behalf of the people. Thank you. This is proclamation in honor of Mr. Trophy. Since his birth in 1963, Mr. Trophy has produced magnificent awards for countless sport teams, schools, universities, and many others in the state of Florida and around the country. Mr. Trophy has become an industry leader for the past 50 years, setting the standard through excellence in product quality, design, and reliability. Mr. Trophy has serviced customers across the United States, the Caribbean, Central, and South America. Mr. Trophy's owners, Aram and Frank, have maintained 17 years of legacy on behalf of the business and continue to create their own in the city of North Miami. Now, therefore, in consideration of the foregoing, I, Andre Pierre, Mayor of this great city of North Miami, on behalf of the City Council and more than 60,000 residents in the city of North Miami, do hereby proclaim November 27, 2012 to be Mr. Trophy Day in the city of North Miami and urge all residents to recognize and celebrate this day with Aram. Thank you so much. Aram, is Frank here? Frank is not here. Well, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell us what you have done so far in this community with Mr. Trophy.
Haven't done much. The customers have done it for the store, and I thank the community and my customers. They are number one. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations on your beautiful floats.
Yeah.
The float was out.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
To the center.
Yeah.
Keep up.
Here, I'll come around on the side.
Thank you.
You still got your 50-cent piece. I was No. You still
Yeah, I collected the dollar.
You got it? A dollar? You got more than I did.
Very good. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations again, man. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay.
That's a great idea. Is that yours? Great idea. You got yours?
Thank you, Mr. Trophy, and our state rep. Are you gonna be here with us for a while?
Yes.
Okay, good. Pleasure to have you. We're gonna move on with announcement, but before we move on with announcement, I just wanna, just clear the air for a couple people that are here. Basically, I think, Mr. City Clerk, on this tab F that we have here, which is regarding this charter changes, some of it was suggested by the charter board. Do we have any provision before us about an 18-month extension of changing the date of the election?
Absolutely not, Mayor.
Okay, so that's not before us today, right?
It is not before us. The only thing that's before us are stylistic changes to our charter.
Okay, and secondly, has it been mentioned around here somewhere? I mean, have we talked about that? Is that an issue?
That is not an issue here, but I know in terms of extending any 18-month term, it wouldn't affect any council on the dais. It was recommended at a charter board meeting outside of this board, but it's never been mentioned by any council member on this particular board.
Okay, so it's not before us.
It's not before us, absolutely
Okay,
not.
so the changes that we have here on tab F has nothing, and this is an ordinance, right?
This is an ordinance regarding the stylistic changes of certain wording on our charter, and that's all. Nothing else is being addressed except for stylistic changes.
Okay, but I mean the date of the election, I know it was mentioned at a workshop, and I think when it was mentioned at the workshop, basically this election that we have scheduled for May 14th, we said that election is going to go forward, right?
As far as I'm concerned, yes. However, it was mentioned not primarily at a workshop. A couple of recommendations were made by the city attorney's office at a board meeting, a charter board meeting, but never at a council meeting, and the council never considered it. No one ever voted on it. No one ever said that they would support it. It never been before us. Just at a charter board, meeting, and these were recommendations from the office of the city attorney. It was never mentioned here.
And when it was mentioned, it was more like to be taking place on 2015, right?
After the 2013 election.
After the 2013
That's
election.
correct.
So the election is set to go, and this is exactly what we're going to do, right?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay, so that just one second, I'm going to turn it over to you. Okay, so that information that is out there is clearly incorrect.
I don't, it's misunderstood. It was proposed at a charter board meeting, not a council meeting. There was that particular recommendation and other recommendations were made by the city attorney's office, but it was never made by any members of this board.
But I mean, but in reality, that anybody that want to talk about it, they could have gone and look at the agenda, and they would seen that there's no such provision that is before this council meeting, right?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay. Councilman Gavin, you had a question for him?
No, I wasn't at any of those prior hearings where it was brought up. The only time I heard it brought up was at our charter workshop a week or so ago. Mr. City Clerk, are you saying that there is a discussion going on that after 2013 we'll move our elections?
Yes, apparently it was brought to my attention that at the charter board meeting, the office of the city attorney made several recommendations to the board, the charter board, in terms of changing our elections to coincide with the county and state elections. However, these were just discussions that were discussed during the charter board meetings, but it was never brought before this particular board. And I don't know what was discussed at the workshop because I wasn't at the workshop. But from what I understand, it was a recommendation. It's on the record, but it would take effect after the 2013 election. It wouldn't take effect now.
So let's be really clear, Madam City Attorney. Are you recommending that we move our city council elections?
Well, I'm not sure where that information came from.
I have the minutes in the record.
That says that I made a recommendation.
Yeah, the city attorney made recommendations.
What?
No, I didn't. I didn't make any recommendation. As I usually do, explain what the law is and explain what the options are.
Okay.
So going forward, the elections are in May of the off-numbered years. 2013, at this moment, we're having an election. 2015, we'll be having an election. And anything that's decided in the future is decided in the future.
That's correct.
And I intend to keep the date of the election, and I have said that over and over again, so I don't understand why it's an issue at this moment. So, Ms. Campbell, sorry, but May 2013, I won't be an elected official anymore. I'm going to be somewhere in South America drinking Cuba Libre. So, you're going to be there with me, all right? Thank you so much. So, we're going to move on. Pam Solomon with special presentation.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the City of North Miami, I'd like to share with you a few of our upcoming events, some of the highlights that we have moving into the month of December. Starting with this week, this Thursday, November 29th, we have our Light Up North Miami tree lighting ceremony here at the Mocha Plaza that evening at 6 p.m. We invite you to celebrate the start of the holiday season at our annual tree lighting ceremony, which includes holiday music, entertainment, festive refreshments, and more. For details, you can log on to our website at northmiamifl.gov/celebrate, or you may also contact the North Miami Parks and Recreation Department at 305-895-9840. This Saturday, we're kicking off a series of family fun nights that will take place the first Saturday of every month. So it's starting December 1st through September 7th of 2013. And they'll take place at Griffin Park, which is located at 12220 Griffin Boulevard. We invite you to bring your family, meet your neighbors for a fun evening at the park, enjoy music, bounce houses, face painting, and food for purchase. Bring a blanket or chairs for the outdoor movie that we will be showing at sunset, and the movie schedule and start times will be posted on our Celebrate website. The featured movie for December is The Polar Express. Next week, Tuesday, December 4th, Mocha and Vanity Fair International invite you to their opening reception party, which is part of the Art Basel event, from 7 to 9 p.m. It's featuring Bill Viola. It's the opening exhibition of his Liber Insularum exhibition. Bill Viola is recognized as a leader practitioner of visual and video art. And the reception is free to Mocha members, and of course, North Miami residents are all Mocha members. So to attend, you must RSVP to Mocha by calling 305-893-76 978-481-6211. And for more information on MoCA's exhibitions and programs, we invite you to visit their website at MoCA NoMi, that's MoCANOMI.org. On Sunday, December 9th, Vice Mayor Sterrill is hosting her 8th annual holiday celebration and toy distribution event. That starts at 3 p.m. at Kiwanis Park, which is located at 12100 Northwest 16th Avenue. North Miami residents are invited to celebrate the spirit of the holiday season with Councilwoman, or Vice Mayor now, Sterrill. The holiday celebration features games, activities, and a toy giveaway from a very special guest visiting from the North Pole. Call the Office of the Mayor and City Council at 305-895-9818 for details. And just looking forward into December, we have our community menorah lighting, which is sponsored by the Keystone Jewish Center under the direction of Rabbi Daniel Green. He invites everyone to attend this Hanukkah celebration on Wednesday, December 12th at 5:30 p.m., also here in the MoCA Plaza on the 5th night of Hanukkah. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Appreciate your wonderful report. Just briefly, and I think I wanted to mention that before the council meeting, just want to say my condolences to the family of L.B. McCoy, which is a longtime resident of North Miami and former board member of North Miami Parks and Recreation Department. He passed away last week on Wednesday. Those of you not know L.B. well, basically, I mean, he's been in this community for a very long time. He was a member of the Sun Kids Grove Homeowners Association.
Actually, the president of the Homeowners Association.
A resident?
The president.
The president of the Homeowners Association has been serving for a very long time. Down-to-earth kind of guy, you know, doesn't play much of politics. You know, he tells you exactly how he would like to see his city move forward. So my condolences to his family. Basically, he is they're viewing. The funeral was set for Saturday, December 1st at the New Providence Church in Liberty City. And the viewing will be set on Friday, the 30th at the Hall, Ferguson, which is on 54th Street. And hoping that this city of North Miami, most of the residents and city council, city attorney, manager, deputy manager, city clerk, who had the opportunity to work with Mr. McCoy, can actually participate, whether that would be the viewing or the funeral that is scheduled for this weekend. His wife, Betty, you could contact them, or you could contact some of the family members that are really helping out. And just want to mention that LB has friends in the police department, and you know, just want to pass that message to the police department to let them know that a very dear friend of the city of North Miami has passed away last week on Wednesday. Secondly, my condolences to the family of Vita Gis. Vita Gis was a longtime activist in the Haitian community. He passed away last week on Monday, November 19th. Mr. Gis was one of the people that opposed the Miami-Dade County policy that banned undocumented Haitian children from attending school. And he was also the guy that coined the name Little Haiti, which is where my mother still lived down there, and I used to live in Little Haiti. So thank you so much for Mr. Vitagis. I'm glad that before Mr. Vitagis passed away, that the city of North Miami was able to do a ceremony, a celebration for Mr. Vitagis, where we presented Mr. Vitagis with the key to the city of North Miami. And I think it was a well-deserved honor. I know State Representative Campbell, so many other elected officials, including Commissioner Monestin, wanted to really get together with the family and do something for Mr. Gis before he passed away. And we lost a key member of this community. And although when you talk about Haitian community, his name is all over the place. But I think what he did, although he was fighting for the Haitian, but he was fighting for a common cause. And the common cause is what we call opportunities for all. And again, my condolences to Mr. Vitagis' family. As some of you know, his son, Carl Gis, is a reporter for the Miami Herald. and he's also a friend of this community. Just wanted to mention that, at the beginning of the council meeting, and my condolences to both families. So we're going to move on with hurricane. Do we have any? The hurricane season is over, right?
That's the last week.
That's the last week, okay? Anything in the Atlantic Ocean we need to worry about?
Nothing that we can talk about, Mr. Mayor, but we have been blessed with a great year without the hurricane.
Okay. Wow, good. Thank you. Mr. Can I get a motion to approve the shortest consent agenda that I have seen?
Move to approve.
Move to approve has been seconded. Anyone wishes to oppose? Hearing done. We are moving forward. Mr. City Clerk, tab D, which is the second reading of this ordinance.
An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending Chapter 15 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Pensions and Retirement by amending Article 4 entitled North Miami Police Pension, Division 5 entitled Benefits, specifically at Section 15-129 entitled Retirement Benefits, to implement the provisions of the collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Police Benevolent Association, PBA, and to allow members to revoke a prior early retirement election, providing for repeal, conflicts, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. City Clerk. This is a second reading. Public hearing is open on tab D. Public hearing is now closed on tab D.
Move approval.
Has been moved approval.
Second.
Has been seconded. Miss City Attorney.
Yes, just so you know, we will be entering into a memo of understanding with the PBA. As you know, we have a collective bargaining agreement, so any change to the pension has to be ratified by the PBA, and then we have to enter into a memo of understanding which reflects the change to the pension that we will be entering into pursuant to this ordinance, just so you're...
Okay, thank you. This is the second reading. I'm assuming that we have no more speeches. Mr. City Clerk, would you do roll call?
Councilman Galvin?
Yes.
Mayor Pierre?
Yes.
Councilman Marcellus?
Yes.
Councilman Blinn?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stallion?
Yes.
Measure passes 5-0.
Thank you. Tab E.
An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending Chapter 29 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Land Development Regulations by amending Article 5, Division 15, entitled Signs, specifically at Section 5-1501, entitled Purpose, Section 5-1502, entitled Prohibited Signs, Section 5-1503, entitled General Standards, Section 5-1504, entitled Signs Permitted Without a Permit, Section 5-1505, entitled Permitted Signs Requiring Development Review, and Section 5-1506, entitled Comprehensive Sign Program, to allow electronic message centers and electronic strolling signs in all non-residential zoning districts, and to establish development standards and guidelines for such signs in order to encourage and facilitate economic growth in a manner consistent with the intent of the comprehensive plan of the City of North Miami, providing for conflicts, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Okay, this is the first reading of tab
E.
Tab E. Public hearing is open on tab E. Public hearing is now closed on tab E.
Move approval.
It has been moved. I'll second it. Councilman Blinn.
Good.
Councilman Marcellus.
No questions.
Councilman Gavin. Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question. What's the difference with the sign that we about to, the ordinance that we're about to pass? What's the difference between the sign that we're passing on and the one that we have now? Because I know Burger King, such as on 7th Avenue, already have a sign like that. So,
David Lawrence already has it. I mean, so many places around the city has it.
So what's the difference?
Through the mayor.
Are they in violation? Go ahead.
I can't answer as to whether or not they are in violation. Our community planning development directors here,
Yeah,
but I don't believe that they're in violation. However, what this allows is the electronic comportion
But we do
to
have it in the
exist.
city, so why do we need an ordinance right now?
It's not allowed. Go ahead.
Maxine Calloway, Community Planning and Development Director. With respect to Burger King, they were able to get that sign through a variance. We just want to make sure that that is not the process going forward to allow these types of signs. They've become very popular, and they are currently prohibited in our code. So this would allow any school or any commercial entity that would like such a sign would not have to go through a variance process in order to get this sign established at their business.
Okay. So how would we regulate it? Because right now, I remember when Burger King wanted to have the sign, they have come before us and we tell them exactly what we expected, what we don't want to see, how big it should be, the size, the lighting.
That is
so
correct.
how do we?
The same thing is in the code. If you look at what's being proposed in your package, all the verbiage regarding standards and regulation is underlined. For example, if it's a monument sign, it cannot exceed 40 square feet. The electronic message board portion of the sign cannot exceed 50% of the overall sign area. If you also look at page you just give me a second so I can read it to you when I find it. It talks about the static image, how frequently it can scroll. If you look at page 8, particularly G, it speaks directly to the static image, how frequently it can move, what it should stay, if it sees it to work for more than 24 hours, how soon it needs to be fixed. But in that page 8, it talks about all the standards and what's expected regarding the sign itself.
Okay.
The motion was made to approve. It was seconded. Mr. City Clerk?
Mayor Pierre?
Yes.
Councilman Marcellus?
Yes.
Councilman Blinn?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sterian?
Yes.
Councilman Galvin?
Yes.
Measure passes 5-0.
Okay, top F.
An ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, amending the charter of the city of North Miami pursuant to sections 166.021 and 166.031 Florida statutes and section 6.03 Miami-Dade Code of Ordinances, and in accordance with the comprehensive review and recommendations of the City of North Miami Charter Review Board, to update and clarify sections of the city charter by providing non-substantive, stylistic, and organizational changes, including statutory references, consistent usage of names, terms, and references, gender diversity, and for corrections or frivolous errors, and redundant language, providing for conflict severability, codification, and an effective date.
Public hearing is, well, let's hear from the city attorney. I think you have a presentation, so
yes.
After your presentation, when we'll open public hearing. Before we do your presentation, Katya, can Katya come back here?
She just went
Katya! Is she? Okay. Just 1 second. I just want to.
It's not my birthday.
It's not your birthday?
No.
All right, go ahead. We'll do it after your presentation. You will move on. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. I just wanted to present to you the proposed charter. It's quite lengthy, so we did not make any printed copies. However, it is on the website, and if you have a smartphone, you can pull it up. And we will be showing a PowerPoint presentation of the relevant sections. Just so for everyone is aware and on the same page in terms of the process and the background. We began this process in June of this year. It will culminate in the election May 2013 in terms of making all of the changes that we would like to make with respect to the charter. As you know, the charter, a majority of the provisions in the charter date back to 1958. there has never been a comprehensive, holistic review of the entire charter. And so we undertook to start that process. The process was bifurcated. So part of the changes consist of those changes that were adopted, those sections that were adopted prior to 1973, portions of the charter that can be revised by the council through an ordinance. We're going to have 2 readings of that ordinance, tonight being the first. The second phase of the charter review process will be through referendum. We're going to have more meetings with the Charter Review Board, an additional workshop, and then we will have our questions that will be placed on the May 13th ballot. And at the end of that entire process, we will have a much slimmer, refined, progressive 2013 charter that will be reflective of where we want to be in the city. So without further ado, I'm going to walk you through the version of the charter. What is a charter? Essentially, it's the constitution of the city. Again, it was adopted in 52, but there's never been holistic, comprehensive changes to date. There have been some sections that have been on different elections, but not holistically. And at this point, I just want to take a point of privilege. I think there are a couple of charter board members here. Lucy Tondreau, Carol Keys. I don't see anyone. Thank you for your assistance. Who else is here? Okay, well, you can stand. Why don't you stand and be recognized, because your role in this entire journey was integral to making suggestions and having questions and discussions and debates about particular sections. And so it's been a pleasure to work with you, and I look forward to the second phase as we continue to work on this charter. So, and I don't know how well you can see the language, but again, you can look online.
Oh, yeah, totally.
The original section is what we currently have, and the revised section is what we will have if this passes by this council. Many of the changes to the charter is just stylistic reorganization of certain sections. For example, the preamble was in the back of the charter. In the current charter, the preamble, which discusses, it's the we the people of the charter, that was in the back. So we're making a recommendation that it be placed in the beginning. The effect of the charter and those types of changes, again, we are making a recommendation that it just simply be moved to the beginning. You're going to see a lot of changes to capitalized. Some words were capitalized. We're recommending that they be small cased. Section 196, separability is not the correct term. It's actually severability. So we're just making that correction. Construction of gender, there's really no change there, just small caps. Incorporation, the only strike through is that it's not necessary to have within the territorial limits. Form of government, you're going to see the sentence is stricken through. And as you can see, when you see the revised section, what I've also done is let you know exactly where something is moving to, where it was moving from, or what the exact changed is. So this is one of the instances where there's redundant language. And so because if there was redundant language, we're making a recommendation that be stricken. Boundaries. Really no change, just that it can be amended from time to time. Powers of the city, no change. The Bill of Rights, that was moved again. This is a section that was in the back of the charter. We're recommending it be moved to the beginning of the charter. Council number, selection, and term. We for stylistic purposes, are recommending council persons be changed to council members. If there's a place where there's a councilman, we're recommending that be changed to council members.
Yay.
1958, we didn't have councilwoman.
You didn't have councilwoman in 1958. Section 7, salary. Now, this is a change that reflects a resolution that was passed some time ago that basically stated that the council can determine their salary and by resolution, and it cannot exceed the budgeted amount. So although this is a substantive change, it reflects the actual state of the law as it stands today. Presiding officer. Again, we've had a recent resolution where we changed the term assistant mayor to vice mayor. Powers, no change. Appointment, sorry. Okay. Sections 10, 11, and 12 all deal with city manager. Again, in terms of talking about organizing or reorganizing the charter, there were a few sections that were scattered. So places that discuss city council, we moved all of the content of that under city council. Where there's a discussion of city manager, we're moving that under city manager. So this is, although there's a lot of strike through, it's just simply moving it to another section. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, hold on. Dunya, help.
Oh, the charter broke down.
Okay, I'm not sure why it's not showing me the change.
What do you need?
So, when you go back up,
Are you trying to go backwards?
I'm trying to go back. How do I go back? Okay, so
Okay.
it should tell me where it should
Seems like you
have
have
it
it
highlighted.
Is this the slide you want to be on?
Yeah,
And it's not.
it's not, it's like it's supposed to be,
Right. And
it's not doing that.
you've tested it before?
I did, yeah, I mean, it was fine before. Okay, well, section 10, 11, 12, it's now under Article 3. Okay, we're just gonna skip that. But you can look for yourself. I haven't deleted it completely, it's in there. Vacancies in the council. That's just simply been moved to the elections section. No change in section 14. Okay. Induction of council into office and council to be the judge of qualifications. The first section, induction into council into office, that's been moved to Article 16 under elections. Council to be the judge of members. Again, that's something that should be under the council section, so that's just a move. Procedures for passing ordinances, no change. Section 23, no change. Okay, now we're going into Article 3, City Manager. So what we've deleted in the prior section, which was Section 2, City Council, we moved under City Manager. No change here. Section 24, City Council, by the original language reads, City Council by a majority vote of its total membership shall appoint a city manager. We just took out by a majority vote of the total membership because when you say City Council shall appoint, that's what that means, by a majority. We removed the term for an indefinite term because that's a contradiction, having a term that's indefinite. And the last sentence was removed that says the manager need not be a resident of the city or the state at the time of the appointment, but may reside outside the city while in office, only with the approval of the council. So that sentence just basically states that the city manager does not have to reside in the city. So if there's no requirement for the city manager not to reside in the city, then there's no need to have that statement in there. Okay, so sections 25, 185, and 186 all deal with the powers and duties and role of the city manager, and we just consolidated all of this information into one section. Absence of the city manager basically says that if the city manager is absent, he or she may designate without the need to have a letter filed with the city clerk. Okay, so these sections is where we're going to see something a little differently. Some portions of our current charter deal with administrative issues that really don't belong in a city charter and are better suited for a code of ordinances. And questions of how many departments and who was in a particular department, all of that really doesn't belong in a charter. Remember, the charter is the Constitution and should really just have foundational language and not detailed language about administrative issues. So we're making a recommendation that those sections will be moved to the city code. Okay, so now we've done with Article 3. We have about 20 more articles to go, Mr. Manager. And going now to Article 4, which is budget. And we have suggested that budget, taxation, and finance be collapsed all into one article. This section 31, we're just adding some language from another section that we are removing, which was section 42. And that pertained to the budget, the message of the budget. No change here, no change here, no changes here. No change, no change, no change. No change. So, contracts extending beyond 1 year. That was in another section. It has to do with appropriations, and we decided to move that into the budget section. That was in the general provision section. Official bonds was in the general provision section. We're recommending that be moved under budget. Same thing with property subject to tax. So these are just sections that were moved from other sections. And now all under budget, taxation, and finance. Okay, Article 5, borrowing for capital improvements. So again, this is one of those articles that discusses issues that are not really germane to a constitution, to a charter. Power to incur indebtedness, yes, that's something that has to do with how a city can incur debt, and that's been moved under budget. But many of the provisions under borrowing for capital improvements, borrowing for streets and sidewalks and landscape and all of those types of issues, that is better dealt with in the code. So these are all of the titles for borrowing for capital improvements. Department of Law, no change. Department of Finance. Again, this is a specific department that does not belong in a charter, but better, and we already have a code section that deals with finance as well. Utilities, same thing, that does not belong in a code, so we're recommending that be moved to the Code of Ordinances. Department of Personnel remains unchanged. Parks and Recreation Department, better placed in the code. The Department of Publicity, there is no longer a Department of Publicity in the city. Department of Health, we no longer have a Department of Health. Planning, zoning, and licensing, we have a code section dealing with that, and that's better suited to be in the code. Elections, no change. There is a change in terms of movement from induction of council, that was in the council section, that's been changed to elections. Selection of candidates, no change. Regulation of elections, no change. Qualifications of candidates, no change. ballots, no change. Voting machines, you don't have voting machines in this city, but if you were to ever have voting machines in the city, they must be compliant with Chapter 101 Florida statute. So we just simply are stating that any voting machine has to be compliant with that section, with that statute. Public supervision, no change. We had moved vacancies on the council to the council section. Recall, no change. So there is article titled Initiative and Referendum. We're recommending that all of those initiative, referendum, election questions be under the elections article. So which is simply a move. This entire article stays the same in substance, but it just will be moved under elections. Form of ballot and so forth, no change. Results of election, no change. Okay, general provisions. We've seen many of these before because we've moved them to earlier sections. The section dealing with the rights of the city manager, section dealing with investigation by council or manager, contracts extending beyond 1 year. Those are all in other sections now. Publicity of records, that's in the Bill of Rights. Publication requirements, that's in the Bill of Rights. The personal interest in contracts, that's currently in our section in our code. Official bonds, we move that to budget. Oath of office, we're recommending that the oath of office that states you're not a communist should be revised and placed in a code.
Wow.
Okay, where are we now? Succession in government. So most of these provisions have been moved. We'll go through them, and those that have not are just really obsolete. When this charter was enacted in 58 and then in 73, when they created a government, they wanted to ensure that there was continuity in government. So whatever rights you had before the initial charter was enacted survived that, and that's what these initial sections detail. City clerk, no change. And the Citizens' Bill of Rights, again, we move that to the beginning of the charter. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, City Attorney, for going through this charter, and I'm glad that it's being done on different phases. So I'm going to open public hearing for tab F. Public hearing is open on tab F.
But she didn't hear anything.
Good evening, Jessica Alston, Sunkist Grove. Is tab F what we just heard, the charter?
Yes.
Yes, I think that was a very poor presentation, given that this is such an important document, the Constitution of the city. We, the residents, should have received something in writing that we could look at that stated, especially the revisions. I think it was very poorly done and unacceptable for that reason. I'm unclear on Article 1 on incorporation. I don't understand what the suggested changes, and Article 3 regarding the city manager not being required to live in the city, things should be changed, and the city manager should be a city resident. So I'm requesting, if there's a necessity of a vote on this document tonight, that it be postponed until the residents are given in writing. To say to the residents, pull it up on your iPhone, is not an acceptable answer. I don't have an iPhone, and I shouldn't need one to understand the city charter in the city of North Miami.
Good evening, Carol Keys, 12550 Palm Road. First, I'd like to thank our attorney. I think she did a very good job with the charter board, putting together a charter, a revised charter, which is badly needed in our city. There's too many old provisions that we just walk all over because they don't count. I am in favor of all of the changes, the stylistic. The one item that I am not in favor of, I'm going to speak to it tonight. I don't know that you'll change it, but I would like to put my objection on record, and that is on page 11, compensation of council people. Before, in 2007, we used to have, and what is in our charter right now states that compensation is $300 per month for the council and $400 for the mayor per month, plus whatever additions they've all enacted by ordinance. There was an ordinance, I guess, passed in about 2007, raising those salaries by about 1,000% to $3,000 per month and $4,000 per month. The way your ordinance, or the way the change, and again, the attorney said this is a substantive change, not stylistic. I think this is for the protection of the citizens, and right now it states that this salary of the council is actually determined every year annually through the budget. So every year the council gets to determine their own salaries. I don't think that's right. I don't think that protects the citizens. It does not apply to some of you up there, but I think we need a better protection for our citizens. Even though the state has this language, as the attorney has told us, our city can be much more restrictive and prohibitive than the state, and I think this is way too loose to give a council carte blanche to determine their salaries every year. I think it's important. Again, it is not stylistic, and I am very much against it. Our city attorney did, upon our request, do a lot of comparables of various cities throughout Dade County, and I think we are the highest paid council right now. We get $3,000 and $4,000 respectively. City of Miami Gardens, Aventura gets maybe $1,000 a month. City of Miami Beach, City of Miami Gardens, Sunny Isles, we are getting at least 3 times what the other cities are getting. At the charter board, I did recommend not reducing the salary that we have now, but putting a cap on it. So my recommendation to council to protect citizens going forward for the next 20, 30 years is to start our salary at $3,000 and putting maybe like a 5% or a 3% cost of living cap on our salaries. Not just leave it every year according to budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Lucy.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. Lucy Tonjo, 12865 West Dixie Highway, North Miami. 3 things I would like to address tonight. The first one is just to respond to what Ms. Keys just said. In the charter board, we have discussed what she said, and the city attorney have bring to our attention several other cities and what the council members were getting paid. And we have voted on it. The majority, but Ms. Keys, have decided differently. So I don't see why we should do any changes from what was decided in the charter board review at that time. The second thing I would like to talk about is the work that we have done in the charter review board. Tremendous work. And the city attorney, I would like to commend you for your work. Thank you. She have done lots of research for us, And one of the questions that came up during during the reviewing of the charter was how much would it cost the city of North Miami to do elections on odd number of years compared to do elections during the city elections. And I think she have done some research and she came back with some answers for us. And it's incredible how much in this community people have the tendency not to do research, but to go ahead and start a feud and totally distort what the truth is. And I don't know if tonight we can take a decision as of council members, mayors, vice council, I don't know, anybody who is a government body to the city, to stop that thing by confusing this community with things that are not true, especially when they are not aware or informed of what's going on. For the past 2 weeks, it's been chaos in our community with things that were said on Haitian radio. I don't know if in other communities they have had the same experience, but I don't think it's right and it's fair for somebody who does not understand what was going on, did not do the proper research, and went on the radio and start fueling this community with confusion. And I think we need to make a stop to that. And I'm talking about Councilman Marcellus. For the past weeks, you've been going on the radio saying things that you don't know. You could have asked anybody from the Charter Board review what was discussed, what was said, and what's going on. Now, the entire community right now is upside down because people think, well, the mayor is going to ask for a prolongation of 18 months because he wants to stay.
The mayor is going to be drinking Cuba Libre in May in South America.
Well,
okay.
The issue is not what you're going to be doing, Mr. Mayor. And I hope I get an invitation when you go and drink Cuba Libre. But yet, it's really for the own good, for the wealth of our community, for the own good of this community, not to go ahead and spread rumors. And I don't think in any court of law anybody can be condemned for having the intentions. And I don't think it's right, and I wanted to bring this up because today you see so many people are here because they wanted to hear you asking for another 18 months. And the question was very simple: how much would it cost, one versus the other? It was not voted, and we are not done working in the Charter Board of whether or not we're going to put in the ballot to change the date or the year of the elections for the city of North Miami. I would like for this to stop, and to stop right now. Good. And the third thing, again, we are going to continue to work. The charter has a lot of work to do, and I think we have to convene on the 21st of January to continue our work, or the 14th of January. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mike McDermott, 840 Northeast 127th Street. No, we are not, definitely, I don't know where the confusion arose, but we are not finished with working on the charter. The real substantive issues we're addressing beginning on January the 14th. Okay, we'll be meeting here in these chambers, and for everybody who wants to come, we'd love to have your input, hear what you have to say. So it's open obviously to the council, but it's also open to the general public who might want to come and have their input on the real substantive issues that we're going to address, such as election dates, that kind of thing. And to piggyback on what Ms. Tondro said, yeah, the consensus at the board was that we leave the salary issue alone. And again, we want to thank very much our city attorney for all her work in this. So, yes. But yes, so January the 14th will be our next meeting to discuss the issues that everybody thinks we're going to be heard tonight.
That is correct.
So,
thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask for clarification? I know it's a little bit out of order, but since
we're going to get there. Let me finish with public comments. We're going to get there in 1 second. Go ahead. All right.
Mayor Kenneth H., member of the Charter Review Board. I've been on this a number of years. You were on this a few years back.
My first board, I was sitting back there with you.
Exactly. First, my congratulations and thankfulness for the city attorney for a wonderful job. Before we had an outside counsel do this, and you really did a marvelous, marvelous job on this, and I want to thank you. The Charter Review Board, the idea behind this was to bring our charter into the 21st century. It was dated, antiquated, full of a lot of nonsense that didn't have to be in there. Ms. Keys brought up the pay issue. I didn't want the pay issue in the charter. in the Constitution of the United States, you do not see the president's salary, so forth and so on. You don't see it in the Constitution of the state of Florida. I trust you people up there. You're my elected officials. If we're really worried about it, we can make it into an ordinance. We can make it in, and we can base it upon the CPI. We can base it upon whatever raise you want to give the employees of the city. One of the reasons I didn't want to see it in there is because it was dated back in 1950. That was the salary that you all received. And believe me, I know how hard each and every one of you work up there. Each and every, I know for a fact you've got to be putting in more than 40 hours, all of you. And I did not think it was right that we should relegate or have a box on how much you were paid. Obviously, I don't want to see something like in California where the city council and the city manager and the government out there were taking $200,000-$300,000 a year per individual. But we could put this into ordinance according to the CPI if we want to. Another thing that I had a problem with in thinking about why we didn't want this in the charter, I look at the county commission. And I think it's absolutely disgraceful that those people are only paid $6,000 a year for the work that they do. And I didn't want that to happen here. You know, you volunteer your time, but yet you should be paid for some of that time. And the salaries that you are getting, in my estimation, is not above and beyond. You're not going to become rich on what you're making here. You give a lot to this city, and you deserve to be paid for it. And I thank you for that. The other issue, we really worked hard on this. As far as the election dates go, as far as revamping the whole charter and to bring it in, like I say, the 21st century. And there's more work to be done, but what we're presenting you are our ideas. The consensus which you have here was our ideas with the correlation and the help of our city attorney, and I want to say we're very fortunate to have her. I remember when we had special counsel and we paid a lot of money for it, and thank God we do have her. And I think the end product, which we as a consensus put together, is a pretty darn good charter. And obviously, we want to give it to the citizens, give it to you, the council, and whatever revisions, whatever questions you have, we're here. You can pick our brains. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, hearing any additional comments from public hearing?
Good evening, everybody. Annie Montgomery, 2082 Laurel Lane. Everybody having a good time this evening? Good. Thank you. I am. Mr. Mayor, when you start our meetings, you always say you are there to conduct the business of the people. I hope that's a fact. Sometimes I wonder. One young lady got up here and said that at the charter board meeting, that it was passed, except one person voted against what was discussed. But I believe Clarence Merck, who was on the board for many years, voted against it. The changes or the salary. Okay? If you check the minutes, I think you're going to find that. Okay, I wasn't there, but I believe it. I checked the minutes. Clarence isn't here to agree. Our city attorney, I believe, checked the salaries that other cities did receive. I guess she did not check Bay Harbor. Bay Harbor receives $300 a month, and they got turned down for their health insurance 2 weeks ago. So Bay Harbor is a very rich little town, and that's what their council persons receive. I also I don't believe that you volunteer your time. I believe you ask for this job. You go out and you spend a lot of money to get this position. That to me is not volunteering. If you volunteer, you sit up there and you spend your time with the city and you do it for free. That's what volunteering is all about. And you don't expect anything in return. That's what I believe in volunteering. So just those are a few points I wanted to point out. Thank you.
There's no additional comments. We are going to move on. I'm sorry, do we have a clip of back in 2007 when the meeting took place about when the council voted to increase their pay, because the same residents that are here talking against the pay, they're the one that said that the pay was good for that city council. So now it's not good for this city council back in 2007. If we have a clip, we don't have a clip back there of the same members that were here, because you don't have it. Maybe next time we'll show it, because we'll show the two different pictures of what's happening now. The same members that are not against it were the same members that were for it back in 2007. I remember seeing from that microphone saying this is a great thing, you deserve it, you work hard. But now, no pay.
Hey, Mr.
And then just give me 1 second, so I'll turn it over to you.
All right.
I remember the first board that I was appointed to back in, I think, 2003. And I was sitting back there with the Charter Review Board, and I think Mrs. Patterson was on the board, Mr. McDermott, Chief. I think it must have been maybe 5 or 7 of us. We sat there with that charter, and sometimes, we would sit there all evening long, 5-6 hours. We worked through it. We knew that charter was obsolete. For 2 years, I think we got nothing done. We got something done, but the city council at the time wasn't moving forward on those changes that wanted to happen. Back in, I think, 2007, again, we came back with some additional changes, to that charter. Again, nothing did not move forward. And I think, every time you talk about this charter, people think that, it's something that you want to do for yourself. I think, this is the Constitution of the city of North Miami. And if it's obsolete, we must address those issues. And I think probably the only issue that sometimes when you talk about the charter is the issue of the election date. And I don't know how many times that I have to say it over and over again. To begin with, that is not before this council meeting. There's nothing on the agenda. Anybody could have picked up the agenda and see that that's not on it. And this is an ordinance, okay? This is not a resolution that is going to be made, at this moment. This is a resolution that requires 2 readings. That's number one. And, it's sad to see that people are not taking just a little bit of time just to look at it and see that issue is not before the city council at this moment. But let me be clear. May 14th is the date of the election, and maybe there's going to be a runoff. Once that date comes, my friend, I'm gone, okay? And I'm going to go back to practice law, to do what I do best, okay? And I was a very good lawyer. Some lawyers have been, defending, practicing law for 30, 40 years. Never reached the Supreme Court of the state of Florida, never reached the U.S. Supreme Court, never got admission to certain courts in the United States of America. I did all that. I defend cases with genuine issues. So that's what I intend to do when I'm done here. I've been putting 60, 70 hours into this place here, and I did it because I think it was important to move the city forward. I think diversity is our strength, and that actually was a reality. So there's no intention in my part, and I have never said it to anybody, even my wife or anybody, that I have any intention of staying here past the date that I have decided to serve the city of North Miami. And I'm not interested. I heard sometimes, you got politics in your vein, in your blood. I'm not that kind of guy at all. I serve, and I think some people I could agree with that. You come here, you put your time in, and you move on. And I think that's the reason why it's important to have term limit for elected officials in the city. Okay, and that's what we did the last time. We got the 8-year term limit. We put that before the voters. The voters voted for it. And it's important to have that so we could move on with this city, so we could continue to oil the engine, so we could move forward. We're young blood. And when I mean young blood, I mean, I'm just saying fresh new idea. I'm not talking about, if you're 50 or 60, you cannot, I mean, a young blood, fresh new ideas to come in and show us what you can do for the great city of North Miami. I mean, I've served this city well. I mean, we got 4 national awards in just 3 short years. I mean, I've seen a city that spent, maybe $400,000, trying to get certain national awards. And all of the awards that we have gotten, because of our civic engagement, because of our collaboration with the community. Okay? And I have always been upfront with this community to let you know exactly what's happening. Sometimes it just aches me that, I cannot, say when someone is lying to your community, and I think you should not be having that. And I think, we should be able to tell you exactly what's happening and exactly where this community stands. I love the city of North Miami. Came from Little Haiti. I came up here. I was accepted with open arms, and I have served you well. So my 6 months, I mean, I'm going to, this city manager, I mean, look at this short agenda he got before us today. So if you continue to do that, man, I may get you another raise, man, for having a short agenda, and to continue on with the progress we have in the city of North Miami. We love the city. We all want the city to do well. But at the same time, we all have to be level-headed and actually realize, what we have going on here in the city of North Miami, and actually, just pick up those documents, just review it. I mean, don't just accept what is being said for gospel truth, because I think we all, have gone, whether we have gone to school but we all, God were giving us the same brain that all of us got, and just, we could put it to use and for the good use of this community. And truly appreciate North Miami for giving me the opportunity to serve. And actually, being able to hang out with the President of the United States of America and, hanging out with the First Lady of America, talking about the city of North Miami, promoting the city of North Miami. I mean, this is an incredible experience. I mean, to come from, a place where I used to climb coconut trees, to come from a place that, where I grew up in Akaya, in the countryside, okay? And to be here and be the mayor of the great city of North Miami, an entitlement city, 4 national awards just recently. I mean, it's truly an honor to have served the city and to have served it well. And I really want to say thank you to the people of this great city that understands that, really want to move this city forward. And I want to thank you for that. So now we're going to move on. I guess you have a couple questions, so go ahead.
Hey, I want to see how much of a fork we can stick in this 800-pound gorilla that's in the room about there being a change of the date, because obviously I heard a lot of buzz in our community about it the last week as well. Mr. McDermott, you seem to leave the door open that you're not making any substantive recommendations tonight, but come back on January the 14th and there might be. Is your board going to be recommending a change of the date come January or February of 2013?
Well, I think that there was discussion, and that's some of the things that we hadn't completed our discussions on some of these issues. That's why our work is not finished. We're continuing on to do that.
And I'm sorry to interrupt,
Okay,
Mr.
sure.
Mayor, can we put this to bed for the holidays so we can all enjoy our December a little bit more? Can we give direction to that board that they not change the date, January, February, March, or April of 2013?
One of the things perhaps that escapes some people's attention is that we are basically an advisory board to the city council.
But I
can
get
I
that,
finish, Councilman Gallagher?
But here's where we're not putting it to bed. If we're not putting it to bed right now, we're going to leave it linger for the next 6 weeks.
Well, what I was going to say,
either we're really considering moving the date of the 2013 election, or we're not. So if we're not, fellow council members,
But who's considering that? Who's considering that?
I'm hearing that the board is not closing the door. I'd love them to close it and
But-
lock it shut.
but
So
it's not up to the board.
I'm
It's up
sorry.
to
I
you
have
to
a
make
legal.
that
I have a
decision.
legal question.
Go
May
ahead.
I? Scott, if you allow me, I have a legal
Go ahead.
question. Is that legal for us up here to set an agenda for the advisory board?
Well, so the advisory board, as the chairperson stated, is just that. It's an advisory board to give you advice.
But can we not
to give you
direct them?
I think that's a little backwards, right?
yes,
so
they
what
can-
you can do?
Okay, so I hear you.
what
We're
you
gonna
can
go out of
do?
here tonight, knowing that January is when this is really coming.
No, what you can
That's
do,
when we
and
have
what
the meeting.
actually, what I invite, maybe you all could come to the meeting, to the charter workshop. Let's just have one meeting where everybody's there, and we can take each section at a time, and you can
But we're
vote on
here
it.
tonight.
But we're here
And
tonight
I've
on
heard the
first
radio
reading of an
programming.
ordinance that
I've heard
has
the
nothing
phone
to do
calls.
with changing the election date.
Right.
That's not
But
before.
the chairman of, I get it, it's not before us tonight.
Yes.
I get that.
Okay.
Now, in January, on January
But he's
the 14th,
one person out of how many
he's the
members do we have?
chairman.
5.
He's the chairman. Madam City Attorney, either we're closing the door on this issue tonight, or we're giving it CPR for the next 6 weeks.
Okay, there's no CPR for the next 6 weeks. On
And
January
it can be
14th,
done by
that's it.
ordinance at any time, by the way. It has
this
nothing to
issue
do with
is
the
not
Charter Review
closed.
Board.
This issue is punted down the field. See you in January, everybody.
There's no see you in January. January 14th, that's when you have your
But he
meeting.
could never, stand and speak for 5 other members of a Charter Review Board anyway.
We give direction to any number of staff members or board members.
Well,
I agree that they don't have to listen to what we direct them to do. But if they hear us say with a unified voice, leave this alone, they'll probably leave it alone. So I'm asking my fellow council members, if we just want to make our December
I
a
answered
whole
your
lot more...
question. It was not answered.
Just leave it
Tell them,
alone.
Leave it
Just-
alone.
just like that.
Councilman Galvin,
Just
if I
leave it
may, if I may.
I'm sorry, just a minute. My question was not answered.
I'm sorry,
But
Councilwoman.
listen,
I apologize.
I think I have a question.
What is it?
before.
One second, Vice
My
Mayor has the
question
floor.
was, I don't mind supporting whatever, leave it alone or let's move forward, which I don't even know exactly what to move forward with. But is it legal for us up here to actually dictate the agenda for our advisory board? Like,
Yeah,
I have an
I mean-
advisory board and I'm telling you that don't bring this before me. Do not advise me on this and when to advise me on that.
Yeah, it's
My
like-
question is to...
I'm not asking us to dictate anything.
Yeah, but that's
Castro
if we-
dictates. But if they hear us say, this is really not something that we're interested in talking about, perhaps you'll just not waste any of our time. Because I'm telling you right now, I know what everybody will be talking about for the next 6 weeks until you meet again if we don't put it to
Well,
bed tonight.
can I respond, please?
Sure, go ahead.
So nobody choose to answer my question.
Usually, the way the way it works is that the charter board addresses certain items that are in the charter that seem to be unresolved for one reason or another. After we discuss with public input, as I said, on January the 14th, you as the city council, everybody here in this audience, anybody who is listening to this program is welcome to come and sit in and listen to each item as we go through it to get the public input as to their feeling on particular items to be changed or not changed.
But
Then,
Mr. McDermott, if
can-
you're
can
the
I-
chairman of the
can-
board and you know we don't want to talk about it,
No,
why
no,
don't you talk
no, no,
about
no.
it?
Let me
Okay, but
finish.
you could- go
At
ahead,
that,
let him finish.
yeah,
Go ahead.
at that point, we make recommendations as a board. This is then presented to you as a city council for 2 hearings. At any time, you can say, yes, we will move to put this on the ballot, or no, we will vote not to put this on the ballot. So the ultimate decision is yours. Okay? Now, obviously, if the council votes tonight that this is not going to be an issue, then we won't consider it. But normally, the way it works is we get public input on what the public thinks, what the board thinks, and then we move the recommendations forward to you for consideration. As you know, Mayor, sitting on, the charter board previously, we know that former administrations, we presented a shopping list of things that, with public input, that have been suggested. And they did the Swedish, we'll take this one and put it on the ballot, we're not going to put that on the ballot, we're going to put this on the ballot, we're not going to put that on the ballot. That is your decision, ultimately. Our decision is simply to discuss the proposed changes or things that the city manager or the city attorney believes we should discuss. with the public input, to give the public an opportunity to come and say, yes, we think this is a good idea, no, we don't think it's a good idea, etc. Then we present it to you, and then you pick what you think should be moved to the ballot and things that you think should not.
And Mr. McDermott, if I may piggyback, it was never brought up that we would not have any elections on May 2013. Anything that all the changes that are going to be there, the different propositions that we have made, for example, to have the mayor term, 4-year terms instead of 2-year terms, that would take effect after the elections of May 2013. So nothing like that was discussed in terms of changing the dates of the elections of May 2013. It was never brought up